Just pop a PEZ tablet in, and you're not just eating candy, you're basically clicking on a tiny piece of pop culture. And that's exactly why PEZ has become one of the most instantly recognizable candies in the world. Those little brick-shaped tablets in every flavor imaginable, plus the iconic character dispensers. With nostalgic faces from movies, TV, and comics, they keep spitting out those tiny candies and pulling a wave of simple childhood memories right back to the surface. That's also how PEZ outgrew its role as just something sweet and turned into a massive collector's world, where rare dispensers can sell for thousands of dollars. But at factory scale, the numbers get seriously wild. Every year, PEZ produces more than 100 million dispensers worldwide. And now, instead of just clicking and chewing, let's step through the process and see what it really takes, and what steps it takes, to make a perfect PEZ tablet from start to finish. Those little sweet candies we were obsessed with as kids actually started with a very grown-up goal: helping people smoke less. More than 90 years ago in Vienna, Austria, Eduard Haas III created PEZ as a minty breath candy, small and convenient enough to suck on instead of reaching for a cigarette. Even the name spells it out. PEZ comes from the German word Pfefferminz, meaning peppermint. But the story took a totally different turn in the 1950s. PEZ arrived in the United States and it didn't take off the way they'd hoped. So the company switched tactics. They ditched the original lighter-style design, replaced it with the upright dispenser, and topped it with character heads that made kids want to press it the second they saw it. At the same time, the candy shifted from mint to fruity flavors, and early designs like Mickey Mouse and Santa Claus instantly pulled PEZ off the adult candy shelf and straight into the world of childhood. That pivot was a huge success. What started as a breath mint turned into a collectible, and before long, the fruity flavors and quirky dispensers made PEZ a full-on phenomenon. Today, more than 5 billion PEZ candies are eaten, and some early dispensers have become real collector treasures, with certain models selling for over $7,000. Come with me to the PEZ Factory in Orange, Connecticut. It's over 100,000 square feet, and most of that space is dedicated to making one tiny final product: a candy tablet about ½ an inch thick. You can actually visit and watch through the glass at the PEZ Visitor Center, where you'll see a massive production line running non-stop just to crank out those little sweet bricks. They make about 12 million candies a day here, roughly 500,000 an hour, falling in a steady, never-ending candy rain. And the very first, most important ingredient for PEZ is sugar. About every 4 days, the plant receives up to 50,000 pounds of granulated sugar. Huge jumbo bags get forklifted straight into the dry ingredients area, stacked neatly on pallets like a sugar mountain waiting its turn. From there, the sugar is released through a sealed feed hopper to keep dust under control, then passes through screens and magnets to catch any foreign material before it hits a set of massive rollers that grind it into a fine powder, ready to be pressed into those brick-shaped tablets. Once it reaches the required fineness, the sugar is sent to storage silos outside the factory, ready to feed the line continuously. At the same time, the factory also brings in smaller 55-pound bags for test batches, flavor trials, and fine-tuning recipes. Sugar from the 55-pound bags is dumped into a separate intake bin, and a dust collection system vacuum eats any floating sugar, keeping the area clean and the flow steady. From that point on, whether it starts in a jumbo bag or a 55-pound sack, all of the sugar merges into the same supply stream. It's weighed out precisely, then delivered to the mixing tank. Each PEZ batch uses about 600 pounds of sugar, and at full capacity, the plant can produce the equivalent of around 1 million wrapped rolls of PEZ per day. And to give PEZ its bright, punchy rainbow of colors, the factory has a dedicated color prep area that works like a paint mixing room in a shop, except everything here is edible. Food colorings are staged by code, red, yellow, blue, orange, and more. Workers check the packaging, match it against the formula, then move it to the weighing station, where each portion is measured out with exact precision. Once the portions are split, they're lined up in the correct production order on racks like a color bank that's always ready to go. When the line calls for a color, the operators simply grab the right portion and deliver it to the mixing tank. To build that signature PEZ sweetness, the factory doesn't rely on sugar alone. They also use corn syrup and highly concentrated flavorings. The recipe revolves around 6 core flavors that helped make PEZ famous: grape, lemon, cherry, strawberry, orange, and raspberry. Alongside the flavor system, a few food-grade additives are prepped as well, like citric acid for that bright, tangy bite, and calcium stearate to help the candy mass process more smoothly during forming. These ingredients are weighed out to exact amounts, blended together, and sealed into a separate bag like a pre-measured seasoning packet. The exact ratios aren't disclosed, but each bag is designed to be just right for one PEZ batch that uses about 600 pounds of sugar. Once the ingredients are ready, the line moves into mixing. The first step is a dry blend using a mobile, cone-shaped rotating tank called a Tumble blender. Each batch of powdered sugar that's already been prepped with color and flavor gets loaded into the vessel, and as it turns like a giant mixer, it spreads the color evenly through the powder while keeping it light and free-flowing, so it doesn't clump. When the dry mix hits the right shade, it's transferred into a second machine, a cylindrical mixer known as a fluid bed, where the blend happens in a fluidized bed action. Air is pushed up from the bottom, making the powder move like it's gently boiling. Sugar particles lift and fall non-stop, creating a smooth, steady flow. At this point, operators add a measured amount of flavoring so the tiny particles start sticking together into slightly larger granules, getting ready for the next liquid step. Then the airflow keeps going, mixing and drying at the same time, bringing the moisture level right back to spec. In other words, inside these machines, sugar, binders, and color are worked tightly together into a uniform mix that's moist enough to form, but dry enough not to stick. Next comes the shaping step, where that dry blend turns into the exact PEZ bricks you know so well. The powder mix is fed into a tablet press, a seriously powerful machine that compresses everything below using a punch and die system cycling up and down non-stop. At its core, a PEZ tablet is basically compressed sugar, but to get the right hardness and those crisp, sharp edges, the press has to run at high speed and high pressure. Every time the punch comes down, it takes about 3,000 pounds of force to form just one candy. The die stamps the shape, ejects the finished tablet, and then the chamber is immediately refilled for the next cycle, over and over again, like a mechanical heartbeat. Throughout the run, the tablets go through size checks. Random samples are weighed and measured to make sure they're exactly on spec, not too big, not too small. In a single shift of about 7.5 hours, one press like this can produce roughly 2 million PEZ tablets. The freshly pressed candies drop into bins sorted by flavor, then get moved straight on to the next part of the line. These bins of PEZ tablets are moved over to the roll wrapping packaging area. Here, workers pour the candy into a feed hopper on top of the machine, where a vibrating system and guide channel separate the tablets one by one and place them into the correct positions on the conveyor. At the start of the line, a roll of clear plastic film is heated and vacuum formed into small pockets. Each section is formed with 12 cavities, enough for 12 PEZ tablets, and the candies drop into the pockets in rhythm with the machine. As soon as all 12 are loaded, the film moves to the sealing station, where a printed paper layer with the flavor and product information is heat pressed onto the blister, locking each tablet inside. The machine then does a quick check for missing or jammed pieces and sends it on to the cutting station to separate everything into finished rolls. The machine you're seeing here can pack about 100,000 rolls per day, and the factory runs many of these machines at the same time. The wrapped PEZ rolls keep sliding along the conveyor into the assembly packaging area, where they're immediately lined up into a perfectly straight row, spaced evenly, timed precisely, ready to be loaded as a set. Right next to that, a huge roll of plastic film unwinds and feeds into a tray-forming machine. The sheet is heated, then vacuum-formed into perfectly sized pockets. Those newly formed trays ride onto the conveyor and head straight to their meetup point with the PEZ rolls, which are already staged in the exact right positions. Most products ship in the 1+3 format, 1 dispenser and 3 candy rolls. At the assembly station, robotic arms drop each PEZ roll into the plastic tray with surgical precision, fast and steady enough that it looks like a choreographed machine dance. Then the 1+3 pack is paired with one of the dispenser designs scheduled for that day, creating a complete set. For limited editions or special models, the dispenser matching step is often done by hand, so workers can make sure it's the correct character and the details are exactly right. Finally, the finished sets are gathered up, packed into shipping cartons, and sent through a tape sealing machine to lock everything down tight. From here, those PEZ sets are ready to leave the factory and head to stores, waiting for that familiar little click that opens up a whole bite of childhood. To keep a steady stream of new dispenser designs coming out, PEZ basically has to move faster than kids' tastes can change. The product development team is always tuned in. Which characters are trending? Which fandoms look like they'll actually last longer than one season, and how to trap that whole vibe inside. One tiny dispenser head. Once an idea gets approved, artists sculpt a prototype in wax, tweaking every little curve and detail until it has that instantly recognizable face fans can spot in a second. That wax model is then sent to suppliers and used as the master reference for mass production. The plastic dispenser parts themselves are often manufactured in places like Hungary or China, and then those character heads make their way back, ready to be paired with the candy and hit store shelves right as the next craze is taking off. No matter how old you are, everyone has a favorite character: Spider-Man, Captain America, Superman. And PEZ turns those faces into a fun, bobbing little head on top of a candy dispenser. But do you know which PEZ dispenser is the best-selling of all time? Drop your guess in the comments below. Let's see who nails it. Thanks for watching Food Tech Today. That's it for today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one.